Hey everybody, I've got an Object 430 match for you here, solo pubbing. I've ended up on Fjords, and I'm on the west spawn, so if you saw my last video on this map, you probably know what I'm going to do. I'm going to head north to the northeast corner there, try and spot from B7, and then if it's safe I'm going to push ahead. If it's not safe, I'm just going to play the corner and relocate as necessary. Try and get the replay to run smoothly first, that would be a big help. I know a lot of people don't bother, but it actually bugs me if I'm watching a replay and it's juddering about. I don't know if you guys care, but I certainly do. So I just try and make sure it runs as smoothly as possible. So I cut up through here. AMX takes the long way around. And so I actually get into position slightly before him. Now here I'd just like to point out the enemy bat asks if you can play the E3 like a heavy. Technically you cannot play any TD like a heavy. To play a heavy you have hit points, lots of hit points, you use them. TDs do not have hit points. In fact they've got usually the lowest hit point pool of any class except Artie per tier, so you can't play like a heavy, you can't tank hits in a TD. The E3 kind of, because it has the front armor, but if you get flanked you're fucked. You can however play it like an assault gun, which is using that front armor and that big scary gun to pop out, ambush people and blow their shit away, and also choke them through narrow valleys or narrow streets where they can't readily get away from you or flank around your side. Anyway, I let our little AMX get up ahead. I asked him to spot first because I don't want to risk a tier 10 medium to do a job that a tier 8 scout should be doing, and he does spot something, the IS-7. Luckily he's able to get away. I'm still camouflaged up. The AMX says he screwed up, but he didn't. He did fine. He spotted the IS-7. He let me know there was a tier 10 heavy around that corner and that it was coming this way. And then he basically managed to get back into cover without getting hit, or without getting killed rather. So he did his job just fine. That's really all you need a light tank to do at this stage. Just confirm that there are tanks up there, figure out what they are, and then run to cover so he can do some more spotting later. From what I recall, he actually did end up doing a pretty decent amount of spotting damage this match. So I pull into cover. I don't want those guys to start wailing on me. Now, I did say in my T54 video, you can't be pinned in a medium, you need to seize the initiative. In this case, the initiative is actually just preventing them from rushing. It's not always about attacking, it's just about denying the enemy opportunities. And they know I'm here, they know I'm watching the corner, they know there's a lot of shit behind me. I'm denying them the opportunity of pushing, as this bat is about to find out. So he gets all brave, charges down without any support, something you should never ever do in a bat, and by the time he gets down here he's either clipped out or close to it, and he's also missing all his hit points. Come down, he tracks himself, and I decide he's not even worth a final shell. I give him the good old front bumper. The old cold steel, as Jonesy would say. So that's a tier 10 medium removed. The enemy team is actually folding all over the map. We have flanked them with a T95 of all things in town. I don't know how that happened. So now we just have to liquidate this little pocket up in the northeast corner. Even though that's basically all that's left on the enemy team, I am not about to charge in there suicidally yet, because this could still go either way. If it was an obvious win, you know, moments from the game being over, I might. In fact, no, I probably still wouldn't, because the urge to get damage is a bit lower than the urge to not have a 1400 damage tier 10 game. A little bit of patience comes in handy when you're playing tier 10 mediums. I wait until it's confirmed that all three of these guys are hiding around the corner and the WTE isn't looking at me. I pop a shot into him while he's distracted. From the sound of his gun, I know he's got the 15 centimeter. So he only has 4 shots. He's also going to run into trouble with the slope of my front plate with his heat rounds. The E50M actually is trying to keep him alive, I'm pretty sure. There was no reason for him to push out like that. I'm pretty certain he's trying to actually keep the WTE up during its reload. This T95 doesn't have the good gun. I can tell that just from looking at him, so I'm not even afraid to sit in front of him typing instead of firing back. With that said, it is still a T95. He is still a pain in the arse to pen from the front. The gun he has is the 105mm gun from the T32. He's not really got much of a chance at penning me at this angle. Go for the waffle, but again, the E50 foils my plans. At least he sets me on fire and makes me hold my shot for a second longer, but I do get it into the waffle, and then the T44 finishes him. Now it's just the E50M to deal with. Artie's boxed in, he's got nowhere to go. I put out my sight a little, so he's got less chance of penning me, but it looks like he can't decide who to shoot at anyway. And the 140 finishes off with a nice shoot and a ram. Pretty easy match. About 3200 damage. I don't think I got any blind shots in, at least not that I saw. So that's a pretty standard tier 10 medium match. It was kind of slow at first. I mean, it looked for a large part of that game like I was only going to get about a 1300 damage tier 10 game, which is pretty disappointing. But like I said, it's about patience. You've got to know when to sit back and just wait, and when to rush in and get all suicidal on people's asses. In this case, waiting until there was only 3 tanks up there and they were all boxed in, that was the way to go. If I'd rushed in there earlier, I would have just been melted. So it's equal parts pushing and equal parts knowing when to let your team catch up. The 430, as I have said numerous times before, has the best camouflage of any tier 10 tank, which is why it's so well adapted to sitting in those bushes at B7 and just passively scouting, making sure nothing comes around that corner, and if it does, just wasting it. It can catch up to pretty much anything, except some of the faster light tanks. It does have a very, very good gun. It doesn't have high alpha, but it has the highest DPM of any medium tank now, at a level 3000 for the way I've set mine up. It will vary up or down depending on your crew, equipment, and consumables, but about 3000 for mine, which is a 4-skill crew, so obviously that doesn't really come into it. It's just 100% crew, and then that's it. I don't have and a rammer, correction. So 100% crew and rammer gets you 3000 DPM. If you slapped vents on there, that would get you a little bit more. That'd be what, 3300, I think. Vents is 10%? No, vents isn't 10%, maybe 3%, I can't remember. But if you slap vents on this as well, and brothers in arms, and combat rations, your 100 grams of vodka and 900 grams of bread, you would end up with an absolute DPM monster. I think somebody did do the math that worked out close to 4k DPM. I kind of can't verify that math myself because I'm not sure of the percentages involved. I don't look these things up. I'm not really a min-max person. I just take the equipment I think will be useful to me. Either way, I wouldn't recommend trying to min-max towards DPM on this tank. As I've said before, DPM isn't everything, it's whether you can apply that DPM. And I'm just going to say you can't apply DPM if you're on fire and all your shit's broken. Honestly, I'd go with a more generalist 430 layout, which is camo skill, so it can hide, view range skills and optics, so it can scout, and then repair, so it can get in there and brawl with people. Those are the kinds of skills I'd look for, plus of course your gunner and commander and driver specific skills, Sixth Sense, snapshot, smooth ride, so on. This particularly wants snapshot and smooth ride because it does have quite bad bloom on the gun. But the 430 is quite an adept scout, 400 meters view range. It's not quite as high as some tanks. The STB, the 4202 and the M48 all outrange it for view range, as do some other tanks including the Waffle. But the mix of view range and camo is what really does it, plus some mobility of course. And it does have good armor, so if it does get lit in a spotting position, it can usually survive to get away. 430 is definitely a tank I would have recommended even when it first came out. I would certainly recommend it now it's been buffed. If you're expecting the kind of long-range on-the-move accuracy that you get from the other Soviet Tier 10 mediums, you're going to be disappointed, but if you expect something that can get in there and really get up in people's faces aggressively and survive it, or something that can be a real sort of versatile battle scout, this is the tank you're after. And honestly, it just looks really, really cool. Thanks for watching. Best of luck in the field. I will see you next time.